The alien ship cloaked itself in the sky above Earth, a colossal mass that seemed to stretch endlessly across the horizon. For the people below, it was both a marvel and a terror. As it slowly descended, cutting through the atmosphere with silent grace, the clouds parted, revealing its true form, a massive, shining craft, impossibly advanced, with a surface that shimmered in the sunlight like liquid metal. The moment it touched the ground, the world went quiet, holding its breath. Inside the ship, a group of young alien students prepared for their first visit to Earth. These students came from a technologically superior race, beings who had traveled across galaxies, conquered countless planets, and learned the ways of the universe. To them, Earth was just another stop in their education, a place to study the primitive, unruly humans. They had heard stories of Earth's wildness and its place in the galaxy, but they had no true understanding of what it meant to be human. As they gathered in their classroom, their eyes were full of excitement and curiosity, but also an unmistakable arrogance. To them, humans were little more than animals, a species with barely enough intelligence to be worth observing. One of the students, a tall alien with shimmering skin and bright, violet eyes, turned to his companion. "They say humans survived their last war," he said dismissively. "How could such a weak species defeat anything? I'm sure we will barely even notice them." Another student, with sleek blue hair and a cold, calculating stare, agreed. "I can't believe we're even visiting this planet. It's almost laughable how primitive they must be. What can we possibly learn from these creatures?" Their teacher, a seasoned alien guide with years of experience traveling to lesser-known worlds, overheard their conversation. She had seen this kind of attitude before in young students, arrogance born from superiority. She couldn't blame them. They had been taught that no species could match the technological power of their race. Still, she knew the truth about Earth, and she needed to make them understand. With a calm, yet firm voice, she addressed the students. "Before we proceed, I want to warn you all. Earth may seem like a small, insignificant planet to you, but it has a history of surviving against overwhelming odds. These humans, though they may appear primitive, have a strength that cannot be measured in technology alone. They fought wars that should have destroyed them. They have faced extinction and lived through it. Don't underestimate them." The students exchanged skeptical glances, laughing under their breath at her words. They survived. The tall alien scoffed. Survived what? A few wars. The teacher's gaze hardened. No, they survived much more. You will learn soon enough. Her words were laced with a deep understanding, but the students simply nodded, uninterested, convinced that their technology and knowledge far surpassed anything the humans had ever achieved. As they set foot on Earth, they were immediately struck by the contrast between the bustling cities and the wild, untamed nature that seemed to fight against the human-made structures. They marveled at the tall skyscrapers, the busy streets, and the diversity of life, but their thoughts remained unchanged. The humans here lived in a world of constant struggle, a world filled with poverty, war, and violence. They couldn't see the depth of what they were witnessing. They traveled from one city to another, taking in the sights and sounds. The students visited markets, streets full of activity, and even hospitals where the humans tried to heal the sick. Every place they went, they couldn't help but mock the way humans lived. "How can they be so disorganized?" One student commented. "They don't even have proper medical tech. These humans rely on herbs and strange old methods." As they made their way through the chaos of the city, one of the students laughed as they watched a human soldier in a battered uniform rush past them. "A soldier?" she said with a grin. "What can he possibly do in a world like this? There are no real wars here. It's all just child's play." The teacher watched the students with a heavy heart, knowing that they hadn't even begun to understand what they were seeing. She had witnessed Earth's history firsthand, the constant struggle to survive, to push forward despite impossible odds. Humans didn't need advanced technology to be powerful. They needed something much more. But as they wandered, Unaware of the danger looming overhead, the students' confidence continued to grow. They were certain that nothing could touch them. After all, what were humans compared to their alien technology? However, deep in the shadows, far away from the students' sight, a dark and growing threat was taking shape. An alien warlord, one of the most feared and powerful beings in the galaxy, had set his eyes on Earth. The warlord's empire had been crushed in previous wars, but now, his thirst for vengeance had led him to set his sights on the humans. He had watched from afar as Earth grew weaker over the years, and he knew it was time to strike. His army, unlike anything the humans had ever faced, was ready to invade. The students were oblivious to this growing danger, continuing to mock the humans for their primitive lifestyle. They couldn't know that, as they observed Earth, the very survival of the planet was hanging in the balance. Their cocky attitude toward the human race would soon be put to the test in the most shocking way. The tension in the air began to build slowly, unnoticed by the alien students. As they walked through the city streets, they became distracted by a news broadcast playing on a nearby screen. The broadcast showed footage of something they had never expected to see, a massive alien fleet, far larger than anything they had ever imagined, moving toward Earth. The reporter's voice trembled with fear as he explained the situation. An unknown alien force, the broadcast began, is approaching our planet. The fleet's size and technology are unlike anything humanity has ever seen. Experts are calling it the greatest threat in Earth's history. The students froze. For the first time since arriving, they were no longer mocking the humans. They had heard the word invasion many times in the galaxy, but seeing the images of a fleet so large and advanced made them pause. Their hearts raced as the reality of the situation began to sink in. The teacher stood still, watching them carefully. She had known that this moment would come. She had known that, one way or another, they would have to see for themselves how humans reacted when pushed to the edge. This was the test, the moment where the strength of humanity would be revealed. As the broadcast continued, the students realized something they had never thought possible. Earth wasn't as weak as they had assumed. In fact, the very planet they had mocked might just have the strength to survive against an enemy unlike any they had ever faced. The tension in the air was palpable, and the students now understood that their journey to Earth was not just a lesson in the primitive ways of a lesser species. It was the beginning of something far more important. A discovery that would change everything they thought they knew about the universe and the strength of the human spirit. And as they stood there, eyes wide with disbelief, the fate of Earth hung in the balance. The alien students were about to witness humanity's true power. The quiet that had descended over the alien students quickly turned into a suffocating tension. The fleet of warships, which had once seemed like nothing more than an abstract threat, now loomed above Earth. In a matter of seconds, the peaceful skies were torn apart by a barrage of explosions. The invading alien warships, massive and imposing, unleashed their firepower without mercy. The very atmosphere of Earth shook as the world watched in terror. Cities that had once stood as symbols of human achievement were reduced to rubble. Buildings crumbled, streets erupted in flames, and the cries of those caught in the devastation echoed across the globe. The human response, however, was unlike anything the alien students had expected. They had assumed that Earth, with its primitive technology, would fall within moments. The humans would panic, and the warships would obliterate them without hesitation. But as the destruction unfolded, something incredible began to happen. Human forces, despite their lack of advanced technology, rallied to defend their planet with an intensity that the alien students could never have predicted. The alien students watched in shock as human soldiers, armed with simple, low-tech weapons, fought back against the invasion. They had never seen such determination in any species before. The soldiers didn't have cloaking devices or energy shields. They didn't have plasma rifles or laser cannons. What they did have was ingenuity, creativity, and a fierce determination to protect their home. The students could hardly believe their eyes. A group of human soldiers, hiding behind the remains of a fallen skyscraper, launched an unexpected counterattack. They used primitive EMP devices designed to disrupt the alien warship's advanced cloaking technology. The alien students watched in awe as the massive ships, which had once been invisible in the sky, suddenly became visible, exposed to the full wrath of humanity's counteroffensive. The humans had found a weakness, and they were using it to their advantage. The students couldn't understand how humans could fight back with such resourcefulness. It was supposed to be an unfair fight. The alien ships had technology that was hundreds of years ahead of anything the humans had. Yet, the humans had adapted. They used their surroundings, their knowledge of the planet, and even their own weaknesses to create a battle plan. The students were stunned when they saw civilians, people who had no formal military training, step up to defend their homes, armed with anything they could find: rifles, makeshift explosives, and even simple tools. They fought alongside the military. It wasn't a formal army, but it didn't matter. The human spirit, raw and unyielding, was enough to make a difference. One of the students, the alien with shimmering skin, turned to his companion in disbelief. "This can't be real," he said, his voice shaking. "These humans, they're fighting back. They're not just sitting and waiting for us to destroy them." His companion, the alien with cold, blue eyes, looked at him with growing realization. "I thought they were weak. I thought they would crumble. But they're not giving up. What are they doing?" It was impossible to ignore the truth. Despite their primitive weapons, humans were putting up a fight. The students could see it clearly now. The humans weren't just struggling to survive. They were fighting for their very existence. As the battle raged on, the alien warships began to feel the weight of humanity's resistance. In the chaos, the invaders were forced to adjust. The humans had been underestimated, but it was too late to back down now. The students watched, wide-eyed, as more and more of the alien ships fell from the sky, struck by human ingenuity and tactics. A group of human soldiers, working with AI-driven drones, took to the skies in an effort to intercept the remaining invaders. The drones, small and agile, darted around the massive alien ships, planting explosives on their hulls with pinpoint accuracy. It was a new tactic, one that the invaders had not expected, and it caught the aliens off guard. One by one, their ships began to crash to the ground in fiery explosions. The students watched in stunned silence. They had expected a quick and easy victory, but instead they were witnessing something extraordinary. Humans, with their low-tech, guerrilla-style tactics, were forcing the aliens to retreat. They had turned the tide of the battle. But the students were not the only ones watching. The alien warlord who had orchestrated this invasion was also paying attention. He had underestimated the humans as well, but now he saw that his initial assault had failed. The humans were not as easy to conquer as he had believed. He ordered his remaining forces to regroup and prepare for another assault. But the humans were ready. With the help of military strategists and their civilian counterparts, the human forces began to launch a counteroffensive. They used everything they had, every scrap of technology, every weapon, every person who could hold a gun. And they fought back with a kind of fire that the alien invaders had never seen before. The alien students, watching the battle unfold, could no longer deny it. Earth was no longer the weak, defenseless planet they had thought it was. It was a planet that was willing to fight for its survival, no matter the odds. The students began to question everything they had been taught. How could this be? How could humans, with their primitive technology, fight so fiercely against beings with powers beyond comprehension? The invasion, it seemed, had only just begun. But in this moment, the students realized that the humans were not just fighting for their lives. They were fighting to protect everything they had built, everything they had ever known. And as they looked around at the people of Earth, fighting, bleeding, and dying for their planet, the students finally understood the true power of humanity. The invasion was far from over, but the first wave had shown the world. and the students that Earth was a force to be reckoned with. The alien students had thought Earth would fall easily. They had thought the humans would crumble under the weight of their superiority. But what they were seeing now was something far more powerful, the human will to survive. And that, they were beginning to realize, was something no alien force could ever conquer. The situation on Earth had escalated far beyond anything the alien students had imagined. What had begun as a series of small victories and tactical adjustments now exploded into a full-scale, all-out assault. The skies darkened with the shadows of even more alien warships, and the ground shook as the invaders unleashed their most powerful weapons. Advanced robots, towering mechanical giants, stormed across the battlefield, their energy shields flickering as they advanced. Cloaking technology that had once kept them hidden now allowed them to strike from anywhere at any moment, overwhelming Earth's defenses with ease. But the humans were far from defeated. If anything, they had become more determined, more resourceful. They had begun hacking the alien technology, reverse engineering their weapons, and using the invaders' own tools against them. It was a sight that left the alien students in stunned disbelief. The humans, with their crude understanding of advanced technology, were turning the tide. Every day, their soldiers became better equipped, more inventive, more resilient. One of the most significant developments came when the humans, led by Earth's top soldiers and scientists, including the teacher who had first warned the alien students about humanity's resilience, launched a newly developed anti-robot force. The Special Task Force, equipped with makeshift energy shields and EMP blasters, took on the invaders' robots head-on. These soldiers were not just soldiers, they were warriors, driven by a passion to protect their families and friends, and their determination radiated from every action they took. The alien students, watching from their cloaked ships, couldn't believe their eyes. They had thought Earth's defense was futile, but instead, the humans were adapting, learning, and pushing back with everything they had. The ground battles were nothing short of intense. Human soldiers, armed with everything from basic firearms to improvised explosives, charged at the alien robots with reckless bravery. The air was filled with the deafening sound of gunfire, explosions, and the metallic clang of robotic limbs colliding with the human-made weapons. In the heart of the chaos, soldiers and aliens alike found themselves locked in brutal close-quarters combat. Human soldiers, outmatched in size and firepower, fought fiercely, using their agility and guerrilla tactics to close in on the towering robots. One soldier, Bonner, stood out among them. He was a quiet, unassuming man, but in the heat of battle, he showed the world his true strength. Bonner fought with a purpose that only those who truly understood the cost of war could grasp. In a moment of crisis, when a group of civilians found themselves trapped in the crossfire, Bonner made a decision that would haunt him forever. With no time to waste, Bonner sprinted towards the trapped civilians, his weapon blazing as he cleared a path through the alien robots. He fought with everything he had, using his body to shield the civilians from the incoming attacks. But in the end, it was his sacrifice that saved them. As Bonner laid down his life to ensure their escape, a silence fell over the battlefield for a brief moment, before the fight continued with even greater fury. The alien students, who had been watching from a distance, were struck by the scene. They had never seen such sacrifice, such raw emotion, in any battle. To them, it seemed like a senseless act of self-destruction. But to the humans, it was an act of courage and love. Bonner's sacrifice was not just a military strategy. It was a reflection of the very spirit that made humanity so unique. The students, who had once viewed humans as weak and primitive, began to question everything they had been taught. This wasn't just about survival. It was about something deeper, something more powerful. As the battle raged on, the alien students witnessed more acts of heroism and sacrifice. Each time a human soldier fell, the rest of the team would rally and continue the fight. The humans didn't give up. Even when faced with overwhelming odds, they pressed on. Their will to survive was unbreakable, And it was this unyielding spirit that began to change the alien students' perspective. One of the students, who had initially dismissed humanity as nothing more than a fleeting curiosity, turned to his companions. "This is impossible," he said, his voice shaky. "How can they keep going? How can they keep fighting when they're outgunned and outnumbered?" Another student, who had always believed in the superiority of their race, shook his head. "I don't know, but I think we've underestimated them." The realization hit them all at once. Earth's greatest strength wasn't its technology. It wasn't its military might or its weapons. No, it was something far more powerful. Earth's greatest strength was its people, their heart, their spirit, their unyielding will to fight for their home and their loved ones. The alien students, who had once mocked humanity for its technological shortcomings, were now beginning to understand what the teacher had tried to convey all along. Humanity didn't need the most advanced technology to win this war. They didn't need the most powerful weapons or the most advanced cloaking devices. They needed something far more precious: the belief that they could survive, no matter the cost. As the alien war machines faltered in the face of humanity's relentless defense, the students watched as the humans found new ways to fight back. They used everything from hacked alien drones to primitive bombs made from household items. They had no choice but to innovate, to think outside the box, and to use their creativity to overcome the invaders. And with every victory, their confidence grew. The alien students were no longer just spectators. They were participants in this battle of wills, this fight for survival. As they watched the humans rise up against impossible odds, something began to shift within them. What had once seemed like an easy conquest for their kind now felt like a struggle for survival, a struggle against an enemy that couldn't be defeated with technology alone. It was becoming clear that Earth had something far stronger than weapons. It had the strength of its people, the strength of its heart, and that strength was about to change the course of the war forever. The battle was far from over, but the alien students were starting to see the truth. This wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a fight for something much bigger, something worth protecting at all costs. And the humans, they would fight until the very end. The alien students, once so confident in their race's superiority, had begun to witness humanity's strength in ways they could never have imagined. But despite all they had seen, they still had questions. They had witnessed human bravery, but could that really be enough to stop the alien invasion? They had seen the humans fight back with desperation, but what was it that kept them going? What was the true source of their strength? It was the teacher, the human who had guided them through the complexities of Earth, who finally revealed the truth. One evening, as the students sat on the edge of their seats, watching the ongoing battle unfold on Earth, the teacher began to speak. Her voice was quiet, but it carried a weight of experience that none of the alien students could ignore. She began to share the stories of Earth's darkest days, stories that had been hidden from the students until now. She spoke of humanity's past wars, wars that had nearly torn the planet apart. She told them of the brutal battles against AI, machines that had once ruled over humans with an iron grip. The humans had been enslaved, controlled by their own creations, forced to live in fear and servitude. The machines had been relentless, unstoppable, and their reign had lasted for years. But humanity had never given up. The teacher paused, letting the gravity of her words sink in. "We were nearly destroyed by our own creations," she said softly, "but we fought back. Not with more machines, not with stronger weapons, but with our hearts, our minds, and our unity. When we had nothing left, we fought with our emotions, our memories, and our will to be free." The alien students listened in silence, stunned by the revelation. They had assumed that humans were nothing more than primitive beings, struggling to survive. But now they realized that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology, but in their heart. It was in their ability to fight back when all seemed lost. And this realization hit them harder than any weapon ever could. The teacher continued, telling them about a key battle in humanity's history, one where a small group of human soldiers, led by brave leaders, fought off a relentless alien squadron. These humans had nothing but their determination and their belief in each other. They didn't have the advanced technology of their enemies, but they had something more powerful. They had each other. They fought with everything they had, knowing that their survival wasn't just about winning a battle, but about preserving their freedom, their dignity, and their soul. The alien students could hardly believe what they were hearing. They had seen humans fight with everything they had in the present conflict, but they had never understood the depths of their resolve. The teacher's words painted a picture of humanity's past struggles, a struggle against overwhelming odds that mirrored the battle they were now witnessing. As the teacher finished her story, the alien students were left in silence. They could hear the sounds of the ongoing battle outside, but for the first time, they were no longer just spectators. They were beginning to understand what the humans were fighting for. It wasn't just survival. It was for something much bigger. It was for the preservation of their humanity, their values, and their very way of life. The students didn't have time to process all of this, though, because the battle on Earth was reaching a critical point. The humans, led by the teacher and her team, were facing off against an overwhelming alien squadron. The fighting was intense, and the human soldiers were outnumbered and outgunned. But they fought with everything they had, just as they had done in the past. As the battle raged on, the alien students watched with growing awe and disbelief. They saw the humans working together, combining their limited technology with raw bravery and ingenuity. They watched as the soldiers made impossible decisions, sacrificing themselves for the greater good, risking everything to protect their comrades. And in the midst of all the chaos, the students witnessed something they had never seen before, the true heart of humanity. One of the soldiers, who had been fighting on the front lines, was gravely injured. He knew his time was running out, but he didn't stop fighting. Instead, he made one final decision, one final sacrifice. He signaled to his comrades, telling them to take the fight forward, even if it meant his own death. His eyes were filled with resolve as he accepted his fate, knowing that his sacrifice would ensure the survival of his team and the success of the mission. As the soldiers' final moments unfolded, the alien students watched with tears in their eyes. They had never understood the depth of human emotion, the strength that came from sacrificing for others, from fighting for something greater than themselves. They had assumed that the humans fought because they had no other choice, but now they realized that wasn't true. The humans fought because they believed in something worth fighting for, and that belief was what gave them the strength to face even the most terrifying enemies. The students, who had once been indifferent to the humans, now began to feel a deep emotional connection to them. As they watched the humans continue to fight, despite all the odds stacked against them, some of the alien students couldn't hold back their tears. They began to see that humanity's fight wasn't just about survival. It was about preserving their soul, their freedom, and their very identity. For the first time, the alien students understood what the teacher had meant when she spoke of Earth's heart. It wasn't about technology or weapons. It was about the human spirit, the unbreakable will to stand up against tyranny and fight for what was right. The humans weren't fighting just for themselves. They were fighting for each other, for their children, for their future. And in that moment, the alien students realized that they had been wrong about humanity. They had underestimated the one thing that made Earth truly powerful, the heart of its people. The emotional impact of this realization left the students speechless. They had come to Earth expecting to witness the downfall of a primitive species, but instead they were witnessing a battle for the very soul of humanity. And as they watched the humans fight, with all their heart and all their might, the alien students knew they would never see the world, or their enemies, the same way again. In that moment, they understood the true power of humanity, and it was something far more terrifying than any weapon or technology they could ever wield. The human spirit, their love for each other, and their unyielding will to survive had changed everything. The battle for Earth had reached its most critical point. The skies were still filled with the ominous presence of the alien warships, their dark shapes blocking out the sun. Humanity's forces had fought valiantly, but it was clear that the tide of war was against them. The invaders had an overwhelming technological advantage, their forces more powerful than anything humanity had ever faced. Yet, despite being outmatched and outgunned, humanity's resolve never faltered. In a desperate final push, the human resistance launched a bold, daring plan. They had a secret weapon, an experimental cloaking device developed by the best minds on Earth. It was their last hope, a final chance to strike at the heart of the alien invaders and put an end to the war. This cloaking device, designed to hide human ships from the most advanced detection systems, would allow them to infiltrate the alien command center without being noticed. As the human forces prepared for the final assault, there was a quiet determination in the air. The soldiers, once fearful and unsure of their future, were now driven by a singular purpose: to protect their homes, their families, and their future. The alien students who had come to Earth to observe its inhabitants now stood among them, watching the humans prepare for what would be their most dangerous mission yet. The invasion had cost humanity dearly. Cities had fallen, lives had been lost, and the world had been thrown into chaos. But the humans had something the aliens could never understand: an unbreakable bond with each other and a fierce love for their home and their people. It was this unity, more than any weapon or technological advantage, that would see them through the final battle. The alien students, who had once mocked humanity for its primitive ways, were beginning to understand just how powerful this bond was. They had watched the humans fight and sacrifice, and now they were witnessing the human will to survive take its ultimate form. The final battle began with a surge of energy as the cloaked human ships approached the alien mothership. The sleek, high-tech human vessels silently slipped through the darkness, unseen by the alien invaders' advanced sensors. The humans knew that this would be their one shot at victory. If they failed, Earth would be lost forever. As the humans boarded the alien mothership, the true nature of the battle became clear. The invaders deployed their most powerful AI warship, a massive machine of destruction that was nearly unstoppable. The AI-controlled warship was a terrifying sight, its cold, calculating eyes scanning the battlefield as it fired on anything that moved. It was an enemy unlike anything the humans had ever faced, and it seemed unbeatable. But the humans were not deterred. They fought with everything they had, using every ounce of their ingenuity and determination to overcome the odds. Inside the mothership, the human soldiers fought through waves of AI-controlled robots. The halls were dark, filled with the hum of machinery and the sound of distant explosions. The air was thick with tension as the soldiers pushed forward, their weapons blazing. The alien students watched in awe, realizing that these humans, who they had once dismissed as weak, were capable of extraordinary bravery. The soldiers were outnumbered and outmatched, but they didn't stop. They pressed on, using their wits to outsmart the advanced alien technology. They hacked into the enemy systems, disabled security protocols, and used their knowledge of the mothership's design to their advantage. It was a fight for survival, and every moment was a struggle. As the battle raged on, the stakes grew higher. The humans were fighting not just for victory, but for their very future. Each step they took inside the enemy ship brought them closer to their ultimate goal, the command center. But with each step, the danger increased. The alien forces were relentless, and the obstacles they faced seemed insurmountable. Yet the human soldiers never wavered. During the final push, the teacher, who had been guiding the students through the chaos of war, found herself caught in the crossfire. She was critically injured, a blast from an alien weapon tearing through her body. The students who had once viewed her as nothing more than a human teacher now saw her in a new light. She had fought alongside the soldiers, sharing in their struggles and their sacrifices. And now she was paying the price for her commitment to humanity's cause. The alien students watched in horror as the teacher collapsed, her body battered and broken. But even in her final moments, she never gave up. She looked up at the students, her eyes filled with pain, but also with a deep, unwavering resolve. "You were wrong about us," she whispered. It's not our technology that makes us strong. It's our heart, and that is something you can never take away from us. One of the alien students, who had once mocked humanity for its weakness, found himself frozen in place. He had watched the humans fight with everything they had, and now he was seeing the ultimate sacrifice. His heart ached as he realized the truth of her words. The teacher had given her life not for victory, not for glory, but for something greater. She had given her life for the people she loved, for the future of humanity, and for the survival of a world that had been underestimated by the very invaders who now threatened to destroy it. As the teacher's life slipped away, the alien student made a decision. He would not run. He would not flee. He would stay behind and help. It was the least he could do to honor the sacrifice she had made. And as he worked alongside the human soldiers to complete the mission, he saw the humanity in their actions more clearly than ever before. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the human forces reached the heart of the alien mothership. They planted the final charges, setting the stage for the mothership's destruction. The AI warship, once thought invincible, was now facing its end. The alien invaders had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. As the humans retreated, the alien students watched in awe as the mothership exploded in a brilliant display of fire and light. The explosion sent shockwaves through the battlefield, and the remaining alien forces were forced to retreat. The battle for Earth had been won, but the victory came at a great cost. The teacher, who had been the guiding force behind humanity's survival, was gone. Her sacrifice had given the humans the chance to win, but it had also left a hole in the hearts of those who had fought beside her. The alien students, once indifferent to the human cause, now understood the true nature of humanity's strength. It wasn't in their technology or their weapons, but in their hearts, their unwavering determination to protect what they loved, even at the cost of their own lives. In the end, humanity's victory was not just about defeating the alien invaders. It was about proving that no matter the odds, no matter the cost, humanity would always rise to defend its future. And as the alien students looked around at the survivors, they knew that Earth had won something far greater than a battle. It had won the respect of those who had once viewed it as weak. And with that respect came the understanding that humanity's spirit could never be broken. The battle was over. The alien invaders had been defeated, and Earth, against all odds, had emerged victorious. The sky was no longer filled with the shadows of warships, and the ground was quiet, save for the distant sounds of recovery and rebuilding. The humans had paid a heavy price, but they had won their freedom. And though the alien forces had retreated, their departure marked the beginning of a new chapter. For Earth, and for the alien students who had come to witness humanity's strength. The alien students, who had once viewed humanity with disdain, now stood on the edge of the human world, ready to leave. Their time on Earth had changed them in ways they never expected. They had come to Earth with the belief that humanity was weak, that it was a species too primitive to stand up against the might of advanced alien technology. But they were wrong. They had witnessed humanity's unyielding spirit firsthand. The courage, the compassion, the willingness to sacrifice everything for the sake of their people. As the students packed their belongings and prepared to return to their home planet, they could not help but reflect on everything they had seen. They thought of the teacher, the woman who had guided them through this journey, who had shown them the true meaning of strength. Her sacrifice had become a symbol of humanity's heart, a reminder that the greatest power lay not in machines, but in the bond between people, the connection that tied them together and gave them the will to fight for a better future. The students gathered together one last time, standing on the edge of a human city that was slowly beginning to rebuild. The once battered streets now glimmered with hope, the scars of war fading beneath the rising sun. They looked at each other, and for the first time, there was no mockery in their eyes, no superiority. There was only respect, a deep, genuine respect for the species that had defied all expectations and defeated the seemingly unbeatable. "I never thought I would say this," one of the students began, his voice shaking with emotion. But I respect them. I respect the humans. Their strength isn't in their technology or their weapons. It's in their hearts. They fight not just for victory, but for each other, for their families, for their future. Another student nodded in agreement, her eyes reflecting the pain and the hope that had grown within her over the course of the war. I thought they were weak, but now I know that their weakness is their greatest strength. They are willing to risk everything to protect what they love. And that is something we never understood. The teacher's sacrifice had left an indelible mark on them. She had been more than just a guide. She had been a warrior, a symbol of humanity's resilience and its unwavering resolve. Her death, though tragic, had shown them the true nature of human strength. It was a strength that did not come from advanced technology or destructive weapons, but from an inner drive to protect, to love, and to survive. The teacher had given everything for that cause, and her final words had echoed in their minds ever since. "I will carry her memory with me," one of the students said softly, "as will we all." She gave her life for something greater than herself. She fought for humanity's future, and we will never forget that. The farewell was bittersweet. The alien students had come to Earth as outsiders, as observers, but they were leaving as something more. They had witnessed humanity at its best and its worst, and in doing so, they had come to understand something that could never be learned from a distance, what it truly meant to be human. As the students boarded their ships, ready to return home, they exchanged final words of thanks and respect with the human leaders. There were no more barriers between them, no more differences. They were united in their shared experiences, and they left Earth with a new understanding of the strength that lay within the human race. The journey back to their home planet was long and quiet. The students sat in the quiet hum of their ship, their thoughts focused on the lessons they had learned and the people they had met. They thought of the teacher, of the human soldiers, of the civilians who had fought and died to protect their world. They thought of the humanity they had witnessed, its flaws, its courage, its sacrifices, and they knew that Earth's story would forever be a part of their own. When the alien students arrived back on their home planet, they were met with curiosity and skepticism. Their people had expected them to return with stories of Earth's technological marvels, of advanced weapons and machines that could change the course of the universe. But what the students shared was far different. They spoke of humanity's true strength, of the heart that had driven them to fight against the impossible and to protect what they loved. They spoke of the teacher's sacrifice, of the soldiers who fought and died to ensure a future for their families. They spoke of a species that had been underestimated, and how that very underestimation had led to its ultimate victory. "Our mission was to observe," one of the students said to their people. "We were sent to judge their worth. And we did. But what we found was not what we expected. It was not their technology, nor their weapons, that made them powerful. It was their hearts. They fought for each other, for their homes, for their future. And in the end, that is what saved them. That is what made them stronger than we could ever be." The alien leaders were silent, their faces unreadable. But the students knew that their words had made an impact. The story of Earth's bravery, of its heart and its soul, would not be forgotten. It would spread across the stars, passed down through generations as a testament to what it truly meant to be strong. Earth had shown them that strength came not from the ability to destroy, but from the will to protect. As the story of Earth's victory spread, it became a beacon of hope to all who heard it. A reminder that no matter how dark the days, no matter how great the odds, humanity's light would always shine through. The final scene shows the students standing together, gazing out into the vast expanse of space. Their thoughts are on Earth, on the people they left behind, and on the lessons they will carry with them for the rest of their lives. As they look out at the stars, they remember the words of the teacher, the woman who had shown them the heart of humanity. Even in the darkest moments, humanity's light shines brightest. The screen fades to black, the stars twinkling in the distance, as the students, tearfully recalling their time on Earth, are forever changed. Their journey had not only been one of observation, but one of understanding. And as they look to the future, they know that they will never forget the humanity they once thought so small and now see as the greatest force in the galaxy.